Guys, our friends at Ridge have done it again. After creating the world's greatest wallet, they have now launched the Ridge key case. You no longer have to be bulked down by your old jangling keychain. You got to try it out for yourself. Click on the link in the description below. Use the promo code Chael. That's going to get you 10% off. And look how good it goes with my Ridge wallet. The Ridge key case secures between 2 and 6 keys. It organizes your keys in a compact silhouette and folds out for easy access. There are 6 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and my favorite, burnt titanium. The Ridge team is so confident that you like it, they're going to let you test drive it for 45 days. If you don't love it, send it back, get a full refund. Go to ridge.com/Chael to save 10% today, or just click on the link below. So Nate Diaz does an interview with Brett Okamoto. Now, if you guys were to fight, if you were to fight, how many people would come? How many tickets could you sell? Could you even count on mom and dad? And some of you are going to say no. Oh my God, if I ever fought my mother, she'd never be able to sleep again. I'd have to do it without telling her. So, I mean, I'm just asking you from a literal standpoint, how many tickets could you move? Would all your coworkers want to come? Would your old classmates want to come? Could you put something on Facebook and this would be a huge deal? Not everybody is the same. I had a boxing match. I was in college, and my dad drove all the way up. It's a couple of hour drive. It's going to be a big deal. I've got wrestling practice. When I'm at wrestling practice, I tell the guys, I'm going to leave wrestling practice. I've got about 3 hours and be in this boxing match. And they were doing it at a bar that was a very popular bar. It's a very popular hangout where you would go anyway. People would go there to shoot pool or listen to the jukebox, get a nacho, whatever it might be. So I know when I tell the team, I got the whole team coming. I mean, for goodness sakes, I lived with 4 guys. For sure. My roommates are coming. This is a big deal. Chael's going to go box. You want to know how many people showed up? You want to know how many people were at that table that my father got there early to get? Just my dad. Nobody came. I don't know why to this day. They're all fight fans. They all came along on pay-per-view or flew out to an arena. I don't know why. They didn't come. It's right up the road. It's a place they go to anyway. They did not come watch me box. It was 0. And I'm just wondering, if you had a number, what would that number be? Because Nate did an interview with Brett Okamoto where he talked about fighting. 1.2 million people watched that within 22 hours. That is a colossally massive number. If you're a fan of Nate Diaz, what are you a fan of? Why are you Nate's fan? Well, I'm a fight fan. It's my favorite fighter. Great, I accept that answer. Did you know when he sat down with Okamoto, he wasn't going to be fighting anybody? Did you understand what it was when you clicked on him? Sure, I wanted to hear what he had to say. That's interesting to me. There is not every fighter that can do that. Believe me. Fighters have tried to go start a podcast, something along these lines. It's abysmal. If somebody's a fan of you for something, but you're attempting to present them with something else, they don't come along. It's extremely rare. Extremely. So Nate, to sit down to do an interview, because he's your favorite fighter, where you know no fights are going to break out, 1.2 million people watch. That is a massive number. And Nate spoke about something that makes him a knight in shining armor as far as I'm concerned. It's everything that we've all known about Nate, and he encapsulated it with this story. He was talking about his negotiation back and forth with the UFC. He said that they kept coming to me with more. Now, I'm quoting right there, and we all have to assume that we know what more is, which is money. Kept coming to with more. What he wanted is he's got 10 guys. He wants all 10 to have a contract with the UFC. That's what he wants. He wants to get his guys signed. You do that, you get me. Get my 10 guys, I will sign. He said there was a back and forth. He said the UFC took a good look at, okay, hey, this guy's not proven yet, but if he comes through the Contender Series, I can get these 2 guys, I can place them on an Ultimate Fighter because I have that weight count. Like, the UFC actually tried to have a dialogue. They didn't just shut the book on him. They listened. They respected what he was doing. They respected the respect that he was showing to his crew. It's a very cool thing. This story doesn't go anywhere from here, guys. I mean, boom, it's out. That's what I'm here to tell you. I've never heard of anybody doing that. I just haven't. When I was trying to come up, and it's very hard trying to come up. I mean, it is tough luck stories. Like any other tough luck story that you've heard, where you're working super hard. I mean, right, you're told your whole life, if you work hard and good things will happen, right? If you want to have money and a roof over your head, you got to get up and work hard every day. You could go into MMA. You're working harder than anybody. It was extremely trying, extremely difficult just to practice, but you don't get anything for it. That rule of if you work hard, you get some, that's not true. You come home every day and you don't know what you're going to have for dinner. You don't know where you're going to get it. You're staring at the gas gauge on your car constantly. Can I get to the next practice? You don't pull in the station and say, fill it up. You pull in the station in your account, you say, give me $7. And you're not thinking about the girl you're going to take out or the time you're going to have on the town. You're just thinking, will that get me home and get me back to practice before I come across somebody else that's going to give me $5? It's a very real thing. It's a very tough thing. And one frustration I had as I was coming up is we had champions of the world. Team Quest, which you guys, a lot of you haven't heard of. But you guys that go back, you know full well what it is. You love when I tell a Team Quest story. I mean, this is an absolutely legendary gym. We had world champions. We had guys that were stars of the two organizations that were on television, Pride and the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Champions. And we didn't have one other guy under contract. And it was very troubling. We were all coming in every day and we were all giving, we were all contributing. Hey, coaches, hey, guys, you wonder where the motivation, you wonder where the morale is. We are the only gym in the world. We're the only gym in the history of this sport to have champions and organizations that don't have a single teammate under contract. Can we change that? Can we? And you know what? Yeah. As soon as I had this conversation with Robert Falls. I was not a complainer. But Robert was coming and saying, hey, you're not at all the practices. And he needed me there. I was a workout partner. He needed me there to work out with other people. I said, Coach, the morale here is very low. We got to get one guy signed. One guy has got to get signed to Pride or we have nobody that's signed. This is not just a gym, it's a management company. You've never signed anybody. And don't tell me you signed Dan and Randy. They got in through other people. It wasn't the Team Quest. It wasn't, and I was just bringing this to attention. So we got to get one guy. So I got a whole room full of people. One of us has got to get in, and it will inspire all the rest of us. And it's a phone call, and nobody's made it. They made it within a week, and not only did we get one guy in, we got 4. We never got anybody in. They never made the ask. No big deal. It just wasn't what they had thought of it. Had to be brought to somebody's attention. Oh, good idea. I'll make a call. Boom. Things change. I share this for you because it is a very rare time when somebody actually looks out for those under him. It's very rare. It's a very hurtful thing as a human being when you become a dog. When you have a master that you look up to and you serve and he kicks you, he treats you like it's a terrible feeling. If you've ever had that happen, somebody that you admire, but that didn't mean anything to them. And to hear the story that Nate has 10 guys, and he used and leveraged him. So I will walk in there with Chimaev, of which I'm a 12-1 dog, or anybody else you want. If my 10 guys have a seat at the table, it's a great story, guys. It's a big deal. It's a very big deal. Now, Nate didn't fully get his way. They talked to him back and forth. He didn't fully get his way. If he would have got his way and come and told this story, in many ways, that could be a bigger problem. Like, if you have a negotiator, you have something behind the scenes, you kind of need to keep those things private. He didn't get his way, but he shared it. And the clock's ticking, and this is the only guy that they're offering. He's going to go out there and he's going to do Chimaev, but he helped to justify, he helped to explain where this was coming from. And you wonder why those guys in Stockton are so loyal. That is a different way to treat people, what Nate just did. I can assure you those 10 guys, of which Nate submitted their names, submitted their records in their hometown and their weight class. I guarantee you those 10 guys don't know that was done unless they saw the same interview that I did. I guarantee Nate did not go to them to look like a guy that was trying to stand up for him. Well, it was nothing to do with that. There was no look anything. There was no bravado. That's who he is. He's a loyal guy. He's a compassionate guy. I mean, I just think of all the things that have come out as this fight approaches, if there's anything that's going to make you view somebody and want to come along the journey in the future, I think that was the number one thing. And Nate, who can sell out a house, Nate, who can pack a room for a weigh-in, Nate, who Nate who can bring an ovation to the audience, Nate who can headline a pay-per-view even if he's coming off of a defeat, and he can get 1.2 million people to listen to him visit with Brett Okamoto. It's a massive thing. And if I was to ask you a question, does Nate ever fight in the UFC again after this? What would you think? Because we have had people that have left that have had bad things to say about the organization, but that can't happen here. Can't happen. Nate could not say something bad about the UFC when he just tried to bring his 10 best friends into it, right? I mean, that doesn't work. Can't talk about how terrible the teacher is when you called the principal and got your kid placed in that class specifically, right? It just doesn't work. So now that we do have that, now that we do know at least Nate respects the UFC. Nate had a good experience and likes the UFC. 100% that's what that means if he wants to bring 10 guys. 100% that's what that means. It means the door isn't closed for him either. It just means the right conversation hasn't taken place. Now, for that conversation to even happen, there's going to have to be an upset on Saturday. But upsets happen all the time. They happen all the time. Surprise, surprise, mother.